We are celebrating 100 YouTube videos today, which is so crazy to me. And we're also celebrating a new microphone, a new camera. This is going to be a really fun video. It's actually going to be a more podcast style video for you guys. So no animations, no graphs, no numbers. This is going to be a great video for you if you are driving to work or cooking dinner or cleaning. Topic is things that I have changed my mind about since starting my business. And I think number 4 is especially juicy. So here we go. Number 1 is that the decision to start the business was actually the hardest part. And this is kind of unfortunate because it's the very first thing that you do. There have been other really hard things about the business, letting clients go. I got fired by one of my very first bookkeeping clients. I talk about that in another video. Walking into a room full of strangers and introducing myself and networking, starting YouTube, learning how to record, so many things that have been just way outside my comfort zone. But nothing compares to deciding to start the business and quit my full-time job. And I hope that encourages you, because I think a lot of people look at starting a business and they think, oh my gosh, it's so hard to start the business and go full-time, and then it's just going to be so much harder after that. And that's not true. And I'm not saying that it's easy after that by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll never forget sitting in our small group of the church that we were at the time and being driven to the point of physical illness. I thought I was going to throw up. And finally, I turned to Ethan and I spilled the whole thing. I'm like, I have to start this business. I have to go full time. I need to quit my job right now. God is calling me to do this. Seriously, it was such a leap of faith. It literally happened just like that. And I've been rewarded 1,000,000 times over for that obedience. If you're listening to this and you feel that pull in your soul to start the business or to take a leap of faith, I have an excerpt of a song that I want to read to you really quick by Alyssa Smith. It says, "I feel afraid of leaving what's safe, but I can't stay here. And if I fall, will you catch me? Will you catch me? And what if the doors all close and lock, and I find out I chased a mirage, wondering if I even heard you at all, and I'd rather you take the cup away. I second guess if the choice I made was worth it. But what if heaven is cheering me on, David's pleading, sing your song, Mary shouting, waste it all, he's worth it, and you catch me, and you catch me." Taking that first step and really burning the ships behind you, it is so hard. It is so hard, but it's worth it. Number 2, something that I've changed my mind about since starting my business is how to evaluate coaching success. I was just talking to another coach about this who was getting frustrated because someone that she was working with wasn't following through. And the coach was like, come on, I really want this for you. Let's go. And I had to tell her, you can't want it more than your client does. You can't gauge your success or failure as a coach based on how the client follows through. The teacher inside of me gets very emotionally involved in the journeys of my clients. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. You wouldn't want a coach who's a robot, who isn't empathetic or who takes it very lightly. But at the same time, you can't ride the highs and lows of your clients' successes and failures. For example, if you have a client that you meet with and they hit all the checks that month, they made extra income, they feel so confident, etc., you can't let that dictate how you feel about your coaching. Because guess what? The next client that you're having a session with is really struggling, and sometimes they ghost you for weeks at a time. Now your day is ruined because they didn't show up for the session, or they showed up, but they hadn't accomplished any of the goals that you set together. And it's definitely good to get feedback, make adjustments, take an average of all of your clients, but you cannot ride the highs and lows, the successes and failures of your clients, and let that dictate how you feel about your coaching. This is definitely something that I've matured in, and really it applies to a lot of other areas of life, especially parenting. And no matter how incredible of a coach you are, if you coach long enough, you will have clients that simply don't get results. You could do everything right, coach them perfectly, and they can still choose not to do the work. The old cliche that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. It is the coach's responsibility to create the roadmap for the client, to create the steps that they need to take each week to get closer to their goals. The coach needs to be able to encourage them with hope and to hold them accountable, but it's still the client's choice. When you are successful with those things as a coach, their results are their responsibility. And that is truly one of the hardest things about coaching and teaching and probably parenting too. I want to pause for a second and say thank you so much to those of you that have shared and liked my videos. Recently, in December, my videos received over 1,000 likes and over 200 shares. It helps me in my videos so much when you guys do those simple things, so thank you so much for continuing to support me as I create content. Third thing that I've changed my mind about is that there is good debt. I was born and raised in a Dave Ramsey loving family, and there are so many benefits and pros to that. So many, truly. But it's not just all sunshine and rainbows. There's definitely some things that I learned when I was little that I've now had to unlearn as I grow. And a big one, a big one, is that there is good debt and there is bad debt. Simple definitions and how I think about them is that good debt is investing in assets, cash flowing assets, preferably things that are going up in value. Bad debt is spending money you don't have on things that are going down in value, or maybe even just consumables, things that don't make you money. And those are just very general definitions. For example, our house would be considered good debt, but we still wanted to pay it off to ensure that I could stay home and to lower our risk. And it's honestly so ingrained in my brain that all debt is bad that I still have to constantly remind myself that there is good debt and there is bad debt. I'm like Pavlov's dog. Anytime I hear the word debt or someone's talking about debt, I'm like, ugh. Granted, in my line of work, most of the time when debt is being talked about, it is the bad debt kind, but I'm still trying to break out of that habit and that mindset. A lot of people disagree with me on this, and that's okay. I'm not making this video to try and change your mind. Dave Ramsey has done a lot of good, and I will never deny that. But I wonder if he has Christians so afraid of debt, he has raised up all of these Pavlov dogs that opportunities are actually being missed because not all debt is bad. And this really leads me into number 4, and something I've changed my mind about is that Christians should be wealthy. And I've told Ethan for a couple of years now that I really want to write a book called Christians Should Be Wealthy, but I never will. No one would read it because people don't believe that it's true. But I believe that it's true because God calls us to work. In the Garden of Eden, before the fall of mankind, before Satan entered the picture, there was work to do. There were things that needed to get done, and work is good. We are called to work, and we are called to work excellently. One of my favorite metaphors for this is the shoemaker. How does a Christian shoemaker share Christ through his work? He doesn't put tiny little crosses on his shoes to differentiate himself. He makes the best shoes. He has the best customer service, the best customer experience. He respects his employees and he pays them above what is normal. He charges a lot for his shoes because he uses the absolute best material so that the shoes last a long time. This is how he differentiates himself. He does his work excellently, as if doing it for the Lord. Don't you think if Christians did their work excellently and contributed the most to society, don't you think that they would be well compensated for it? And I know that there are caveats to this, but overall, as a whole, people that work hard, that do excellent work, that contribute to society, they get paid more. I think the problem lies with Christians' mindsets. Over the years, I've been in a lot of different small groups with different people at different churches, and it's always interesting to me when money comes up, and sometimes people know what I do and sometimes they don't, but when money comes up, it's very, very interesting to me that Christians love to pretend like money doesn't matter to them. And they think that this is the appropriate response in church. I'm supposed to be content. I don't want to be like the rich young ruler. I'm not supposed to be greedy. I'm not supposed to want more. And so I'm just going to pretend like money doesn't matter to me. And it's awkward because money does matter, and it matters a lot. Besides our time, money is the most important currency that we have. Having money is the difference between being homeless and having a home. It's the difference between sending my daughter to daycare and being able to stay home with her. What if we saw money as it really is? A tool. The old, again, cliche metaphor of fire, right? Fire is vitally important to sustain life, and yet fire can literally kill you in a matter of minutes. And this mindset is something that I've grown in so much. At my old job, I was a martyr. No, really, it's okay that I'm grossly underpaid for my experience and skills. And of course, I'll do extracurricular for free because money doesn't matter to me. I truly believe that that's what a real Christ follower says. And that's what their mindset was supposed to be about money. And it left me so unfulfilled and disillusioned. And I think so many believers are walking this tightrope of, I don't want to be poor. That's a drag and a huge burden, but I also don't want to be wealthy because I'm not supposed to want to be wealthy. And it's honestly just a weird balancing act that I don't think we're supposed to bear. Instead, what if we asked, how can I fulfill my greatest potential when it comes to my work? How can I be more of who God made me to be? Imagine the situation from God's point of view. His most prized creation, the creation that he loves the most, won't fully step into their potential. They're afraid because they would rather just try to be content with their shortcomings instead of truly pushing themselves for greatness. Like I said earlier, I know there are caveats. I know that this doesn't apply to 100% of believers simply because what God has called us to do. However, I do believe that Christians as a whole should be wealthy because we are called to do good work. So let me define what it looks like to be wealthy, because I know every single person watching this video is going to have a different image pop up in their mind when they hear the word wealth. So let me start here. Millionaire status. Being a millionaire, that is not at all what I pictured being a millionaire would be growing up. People think I want to be a millionaire, meaning I want to spend $1 million. And it's funny to me because that is not what it means to be a millionaire. That is actually the exact opposite of being a millionaire. A millionaire is having $1 million, not spending $1 million. And this parallel really translates to being wealthy as well. To me, being wealthy is having very low risk, having the freedom of time, having connections and options, maybe not typical words that you think of when you think of the word wealthy. Low risk looks like diversification, multiple streams of income, the freedom of time, meaning not always trading time for money, having the flexibility of controlling when you work. Connections, of course, is relationships, and then options is just the freedom of being able to commit to whatever you're called to do in the future. I see a definite theme of freedom, flexibility, fluidity, and this allows space for God to work and the space for him to be able to call us to do different things. I think a real life example of this, so that you can see it play out, is the practice of having a Sabbath within your home. And this is something that we are slowly starting to implement and practice, and I'm really excited about it because I truly believe it's a really important rhythm that I want to have within our family, where we take very intentional time away from work, putting work aside, telling your family, telling yourself that work is not the most important thing. The most important thing is reconnecting with God. The most important thing is being together as a family. During this time, you can reassess goals, you can reassess ambitions, make sure everyone on the team is reconnected. And I think all of that attributes to or correlates with a wealthy life. It's so much more than just a magic number in your bank account that all of a sudden makes you feel secure. And I really harp about that in my Stop Saving Money video. Being wealthy is about being intentional with your life. It does involve money because money matters, but it really only matters because of what it means. It means that I can stay home and take care of my kids. It means that we can support people in need. It means that we can be generous without having to worry about penny pinching or being frugal. It means we can host and invite people in. Christians should be wealthy my new book coming out, never. Number 5, the most recent thing I've changed my mind about is that you don't have to go 110% all the time. This really goes along with what I was talking about earlier with doing good work, but the example is from when I started my business in 2017 to the summer of 2021, I went 110% on my business. I worked so hard, probably to a fault. Definitely to a fault. I probably worked too much, but I loved it. And I do believe that I did good work. Summer of 2021 comes and I get pregnant and I'm so sick. Overnight, I have to completely stop all work. I go from 110% to 0%. I turn everything on autopilot and I basically don't open my computer for 2 years. 2 years is up. I decide I'm ready to go back to making videos, to taking on clients again, and it looks very different. I have a toddler now. I get probably 2 solid hours a day where I can do work. It is so much harder for me to go from 9 hours a day to 2 hours a day than it was for me to go from 9 hours a day to 0, to stop completely. And that's kind of weird, right? Why would it be harder for me to go from 9 hours to 2 hours? Because my sled dog mentality still wants to accomplish 9 hours worth of work in 2, and it's just not going to happen. I can't accomplish what I used to be able to do when I was 110%. And what I've learned is it's okay to not be 110% all the time. It's okay to be a full-time mom and do this part-time and still do good work. I just have to do it slower. And as simple as that sounds coming out of my mouth, it is so hard to swallow and accept. And if that's you, if you're coming out of a season where you were 110%, but you can't do that anymore, it's okay to do less. Number 6, investing in real estate is not actually scary. And we are really switching gears here. I'm sorry, I don't have a better transition for you than that. So we bought our first property in November of 2022. And yes, I did also have a baby in 2022. We learned a lot of valuable lessons, a lot of what not to do. And I do actually have a video coming out soon that will have a breakdown of our numbers on our first property and what all we're going to be doing differently with our second. The biggest lesson that I learned and what I want you to know is that investing in real estate is not scary. It is a mathematical equation with options and contingencies. We bought our first real estate investment planning to do long term, but when we got into the renovation, interest rates shot up and a long-term property just wasn't going to be cash flowing like we wanted it to. That's our biggest pain point right now because we want cash flowing properties so that Ethan can transition to full-time eventually. So instead of fixing the property and selling it, we wanted to keep it because it was a really, really great property. It checked a lot of the boxes for us. So instead of flipping and selling, we ended up keeping it to do short-term and list the property on Airbnb. Turns out we really love short-term and short-term loves cash flow. Investing in real estate doesn't have to be scary. As long as you buy off-market, discounted properties in good areas, you have options in case things go sideways. And I think that's something that Ethan and I are really good at, is getting creative with our solutions to problems. When the interest rates went up and long-term wasn't going to pan out like we thought it was, we could have panicked and we could have sold right away and just cut our losses. But short-term actually has been very, very beneficial for us because, like I said, the cash flow is great, but we had to get creative and really look at our options. My advice for you with this, if you're wanting to get into real estate investing, is to help someone who's already doing it. In 2019, we were really blessed that a friend of ours was investing in real estate. And so we got to follow along with the process of finding a property. We helped renovate the property all the way until it was rented. Another piece of advice with this that really helped us is to talk to other real estate people about investing in real estate. Most of the people that we've talked to real estate about are very, very supportive, but there is just something different about people not being in the real estate investing world. A lot of those people don't see all of the benefits, they only see the risk. What was really helpful for us was going to a real estate conference, going to real estate meetup groups, and then really consuming a lot of real estate podcasts and content. Don't be frustrated if people that aren't in the real estate investing world only see the risk because all they know about real estate investing is that in 2008, a lot of people lost everything. Number 7, I have titled Debt is Dumb. And this is a very different topic from what I was talking about earlier with good debt versus bad debt. This is, I have changed my mind about calling debt dumb. As a YouTuber, I see a lot of comments. I'm in who knows how many Facebook groups, and I see this culture that has been created that calls debt dumb, stupid, whatever. Sometimes people do have debt problems because of impulse buying, shopping addictions, shiny object syndrome, gambling, and in those cases, I do think that discipline is a big part of the answer. However, the majority of the time when I'm working with people that have debt in collections, it is medical debt. It doesn't matter how disciplined or responsible you are. When trauma happens, and this could be a car accident, depression, birth trauma, there's so many different things. When all that happens, it's so much more nuanced than just don't use credit cards, live within your means, debt is dumb. But being a coach has allowed me to see the other side. And I don't talk about debt that way anymore because people dealing with debt deserve grace and kindness. It's possible that they have debt and need some tough love in order to get out of it, but it's also possible that they are in debt and also healing from something traumatic and just need some hope and encouragement. What makes me especially sad is that this culture of debt is dumb has seemed to drive this wedge between personal finance professionals like myself and people who need help. Maybe they've been ridiculed or singled out by someone before, and so they try and hide their debt. And this culture of calling debt dumb or stupid or whatever, it really drives these people away that need help. There will be times when one of my videos reaches a bigger audience and I really have to pay attention to the comments because they can get nasty and say like, why isn't this person using their brain? Why did they do X, Y, and Z? Are they an idiot? Why didn't they have any savings? And I know hiding behind a keyboard just makes people lose all empathy, but I do delete those comments because I never want my brand associated with comments like that. And really those comments just perpetuate the idea that it's okay to insult someone's financial situation when you know nothing about it. Number 8, I've really changed my mind on what your social media following needs to look like as an online business. When I first started my business, I thought only entrepreneurs that had tens of thousands of followers, subscribers, whatever, could actually make a living. But the truth is, with under 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, I was making over 6 figures. And I know some social media platforms are different than others, but you've got to remember, if you get 20 to 30 likes or views of a YouTube video, you have essentially filled up a classroom. If you get 100 to maybe 300, you've filled up an entire auditorium. My most popular videos have 30 to 40,000 views. We're talking like a small stadium at that point, and this is wild to me. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, followers, likes, views, whatever, to run a very successful, profitable online business. You need to have valuable skills, good communication, and you need to come across in a way that people will know, like, and trust you. That's it. You don't have to have anything even go moderately viral. Jefferson Bethke talks about this. He went viral back in 2011 when you went viral, it was actually for a couple weeks, and it was literally his first video ever that he posted went ultra viral. I just looked it up. It's still on YouTube. It has 35 million views. Anyway, so he talks about going viral so early. And after that, now he's got this huge following. It was his very first video that he ever posted. And now he's got this huge following. So he has to grow and mess up and learn in front of all of these people. He talks about there's so much value in being able to learn and grow anonymously. And I have definitely felt the effects of that with my channel. My videos now look nothing like my videos when I first started making them in 2020. And my audience has been so kind and so patient, and truly there is a huge blessing in that. And this is why you don't need gobs and gobs and gobs of followers and subscribers on social media in order to run a profitable business, and it actually might even be in your best interest that you don't until you've figured out how to make really good quality content. Something else to drive this home, I saw this stat the other day and I looked it up again because it's just so amazing, but it's less than 10% of people online consistently create content. Less than 10%. That is crazy to me. The stat was like 1% of people post online as their job, their career. 9% post for fun, like as a hobby. And then 90% of people only consume content. This was so mind blowing to me, but it actually does make a lot of sense. 90% of people are only consuming content. Even when it feels so crowded online, it's really not. This means that there is so much space for you. So get out of your head that everything has already been said and everything has already been done and there's no space for me online. There is. If you want to make YouTube videos, do it. Take messy action, fail forward. On a whim during lockdown in 2020, I made my first ever YouTube video with a GoPro and I had such a hard time recording the video. I had to talk so slow so I didn't keep messing up. And when I was editing it later, I actually had to speed up my voice, and my voice sounds so weird now on my first video, but that's the first video that got me here. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it won't be perfect, but before you know it, you're sitting here recording your 100th video for thousands of people. So if you made it this far, make sure you put in the comment section below, not a goldfish, so I know who has the longest attention span. If you want to see more podcast style videos on my channel, make sure you comment that down below as well. I'm really excited for the videos that I have in the pipeline for this spring. Some of them have guests, some of them have my favorite products that I'm obsessed with right now, and some of them are just me begging you not to take out a HELOC to pay off credit card debt. See you in the next one.